Hi, I'm Anquinette Crosby, and behind me is Enchant DC. It's the world's largest Christmas light maze. Yeah, this place is lit. I'll show you more of it in a moment, but first, welcome to Artico, art in your community. We're with Jordan with Enchant DC, and Jordan, what a magical holiday experience. Tell us more about Enchant.
Thank you so much. We have taken over Nationals Ballpark and transformed the entire ballpark and the field into a world of Christmas wonder. We have over 3 million lights in this location, an ice skating trail, local market vendors, live music, and some amazing food and beverage you'll never find any other time but at Enchant Christmas.
So that's actually the ball field down there.
Right.
That is now an ice rink, and people are actually ice skating. It's unbelievable.
It's the most unique way to experience the Major League Baseball parks is through Enchant. You can ice skate here on left center field. You can walk over to the 100-foot Christmas light tree, taller than Rockefeller Center. Okay. There's over 250,000 lights just on that tree alone. And you can explore the entire 90,000 square foot Christmas light maze.
That's exciting. So you have a nice little story about some of the couples that have come through here.
Absolutely. So while Enchant is a multi-generational experience, it's great for grandparents down to great-grandkids. It's also a really popular date night. And on average, we'll get about 50 engagements per year per location. Here in DC on opening night, we had three couples get engaged.
Unbelievable.
And so we're so proud that they would choose our venue to make it part of their life story. It really speaks to the level of experience that we're trying to create for guests. You can get your tickets online at enchantchristmas.com. You can pre-purchase your ice skating if you don't want to skip the lines, and you can choose the arrival time that works best for you.
Great, and so give us the dates.
Absolutely. It's open now through December 29th, and tickets start at $19.99 for adults and $14.99 for kids.
What do kitty cats and arson have in common, or turtles and money laundering for that matter? Well, for artist Diana Wang, the answer is simple. It's all in a day's work.
My first 2 years of college, I was an art major. But aside from that, I'm primarily self-taught. I've always been drawn to the creative arts, so ever since I was little, I like painting and drawing and whatnot. And so it's kind of an anomaly in my immediate family because everybody else is numbers oriented and analytical. So of course, I end up with the genes where I cannot do any type of complex math equation for the life of me, but I can make art. And I think that when it comes to meticulousness, with my father being a math professor, he's very meticulous with numbers. I tend to be very meticulous in my paintings. And I do remember from the first 2 years of art school, they teach you in basic paintings, like there's no lines, don't draw with paint, right? But that's what I end up doing. So a lot of my paintings end up having very straight black lines. I came up with the name Saddest Littles based on the description of the things that I paint. So they literally are sad little animals. Usually it's one big eye, one small eye, and a frowny face, and that's usually the general expression of all my animals. Occasionally there's a smiley face thrown in there, but for the most part they're sad. And they're little animals, so Saddest Littles. I would describe my paintings as very saturated with color. So everything is very intense. I want to make sure all the painting is even, the lines are very sharp. I've had people ask me if, when they see my paintings online, if they're digital, and they're not. So everything is hand done. When it comes to subject matter, I like to paint animals committing usually white-collar crimes or some type of mischief. A lot of my animals commit or attempting to commit white-collar crimes. But the thing is, they're attempting to commit it, but they have no idea how to do it. I have this painting of a giraffe who is trying to cook the books, basically embezzle. But he doesn't know how to do it, so he literally is cooking a set of books. And then I have this turtle who is trying to money launder, so basically evade taxes. But he doesn't know how to do that either, so he goes to a laundromat and washes money. So basically, it's a lot of times my paintings have to do with animals failing horribly or fantastically at attempting to commit these sophisticated financial crimes. I really like to paint around the edges, so even though it is a 2D piece of art, whenever you look at my art from different sides, whether it's like left, right, you know, top or bottom, there's always something interesting to see. So visually, that's I think what is how I define my art. I do have a full-time job, and so I will try to go to work early so I can come home early. Once I get home, I just maybe have a quick dinner or a snack, and then I just start painting. I paint until I'm like, I can't see anymore, I need to take a break. But I love doing it, so you know, there's downsides, but I think the benefits and like how much enjoyment I get out of it greatly outweighs any type of like negativity or tiredness or exhaustion I feel from it. Most of my work is on Instagram, so I post, in addition to my completed projects, I'll post time lapses of me actually painting, so they can see progression in a day of, you know, how far a painting progresses. In the next month, I'll have a piece up at Touchstone Gallery. I do want to do more series on graffiti, so, you know, cats just graffitiing works of fine art, and I also want to do another painting on counterfeiting. Humans need money. Money is part of our society. It permeates every part of our life. You know, it defines a lot of the stuff that we do or we don't do, but animals have absolutely no need for it. So I think it's kind of funny when you have them attempting to commit these crimes for money, which they have absolutely no need for. I really love animals, so I think they're very cute, you know, and I think a lot of people can just relate to it. The goal of my paintings is to make people smile, make people laugh when they see it.
Cosplay. It's the art of dressing up as a character from a book, a movie, or video games, especially those from Japanese manga or anime.
More African Americans have been taking part in this type of performance art, proudly letting their nerd flags fly.
In high school, I was really into anime, manga, and my anime club, I learned about conventions through my anime club. And so after convincing my mother to take me to Anime USA in DC, I fell in love with just everything about it, just the panels, the people, but especially the cosplay.
Cosplay is a form of self-expression and of getting your nerdiness out, whether it's for yourself or to other people. It's my favorite form of self-expression for my nerdiness because I'm super nerdy, so I love video games and cartoons and anime and comic books and all that stuff.
I would go to every single costume party, and somebody at one of the parties was like, oh, your costume's really cool, where did you get it? And I said, oh, well, I made it. And they were like, oh, do you go to conventions? And I'm like, I don't know what that is.
The first costume that was ever made for me was made by my mom. It was Inuyasha from the anime Inuyasha. He's a demon dog boy, and when I wore it to a convention for the first time, I remember my wig was very ratty. My sword was just a plastic sword, but I didn't care. The thing that was important to me was just like being there.
Everybody is in costume. Not everybody, but most people are in costume. That's my favorite part. I love to dress up, and you see your favorite characters, and you see people's takes on your favorite characters.
My favorite characters today, they tend to lean more masculine. They kind of lean more on this like power side, kind of like misunderstood characters that could be classified as villainous. I recently did Shao Kahn from Mortal Kombat, who is this overlord. In that costume, I get to wear these gigantic heels. I get to wield this giant mallet. I have this huge helmet, and me, I'm very, very small, but in that costume, I feel like 10 feet tall.
Some of my favorite characters are Princess Peach from the Mario games, Carmen Sandiego. I really like nostalgic cartoons and things from my childhood, so that's usually what I cosplay.
So right now, one of my favorite series is Steven Universe, and so I have cosplays for the different gems that are on Steven Universe, which are humanoid figures, but not actually humans. I think my favorite thing about the whole process is brainstorming how I want to conceptualize a character, because a lot of times I don't want to do it exactly like it is, and trying to figure out, well, what am I going to mix this with to make it me, and then executing that's my favorite part.
Being able to bring a character that you really identify with to life, and just knowing that it's something that I've built and I've seen from the ground up. It does transform you, like you become that character.
A lot of people that like to embody their character, so if they're playing a more goofy character, they'll be more social with people. If they're playing a more serious character, they might stoically like stand in a corner where it looks good so people can take pictures of them, but they don't really interact.
There are a lot of different kinds of conventions. There are anime conventions, Comic-Cons, which are the more well-known ones. The Comic-Cons, you have New York, you have San Diego. There are gaming conventions. They are essentially congregations of nerds. And you can do anything there, like fan-ran panels, there are workshops, so if you actually wanted to get into cosplay but you didn't know how to do that, there are workshops for that. They have celebrity guests. Nerd culture is synonymous with pop culture at this point, and in your normal life, you're not having conversations about anime or like the newest episodes of Naruto or something like that. Most people, water cooler talk is like football or sports or things like that.
It took so long for more Black people to come into the cosplay scene because historically it's kind of seen as, well, that stuff is for white people. And now it's not.
We're creating spaces of our own. There's BlurredCon, there's QuirkCon, there's Nerdtino, because of things like Black Panther that are really showing us in a real way, in a tangible way, that, Black people are awesome and we're nerdy. There isn't a cut and paste way to make a costume. There are so many moving parts to a costume that you kind of have to just break it down. Like, you put your props in one category and you work on those maybe one day, and then you work on all the sewing the next day.
I can't sew, so a lot of my cosplays are either bought or they're made by someone else, or they're things that I can buy and put together myself. But yeah, people make stuff out of thin air sometimes, like cardboard and war gloves, and some people are forging swords and all this stuff, so it can get pretty elaborate. The hardest part of that is finding the time and finding the money, because it can be really expensive, especially if you're making something with a lot of pieces or something that's really big.
One of my favorite costumes is the Sanderson sisters from this movie called Hocus Pocus, and they're a trio of witches who accidentally get brought back into our world. Me and Maki and Leslie are doing kind of our take on it, because we wanted to make it a little more reflective of us. So we got some Ankara prints and some wax cloth, and that's how we've made our costumes for this cosplay.
I also love the friends that I've made through cosplay. Like, most of my friends, we've connected on such a deep level. You never realize how extensive or how deep the community goes until you're actually in it. The core of, I believe, cosplay and just conventions in general, people are just looking to belong, and they're looking to be a part of something.
With the holidays here, there is no lack of interesting things to do. Signature Theater presents a Motown Christmas. It features restyled versions of some of the label's favorite holiday hits. It runs December 3rd through the 21st. Check their website for times. The Keegan Theater presents an original Mexican play with music. It's called The Magical Piñata. It's a story about the magic of the everyday, cultural pride, and the power of sharing. You can catch the show December 14th through the 30th. Check the Keegan's website for more info. Don't miss the annual Kwanzaa celebration. It's at the Smithsonian and Anacostia Community Museum. The experience is interactive. It features the Melvin Deal African Heritage Dancers and Drummers. It's fun, free, and perfect for the entire family. It takes place December 27th at the Ark. Start time 11 a.m.
Mike Taylor went from wires and pliers as an electrician to needle and thread.
Today, he's a fashion designer. He's well known for his bold African print and abstract accessories, like these standout ties. Over the years, he's broadened his repertoire to include skirts, gowns, and suits.
I got started in fashion design back in 2014 when I first had an interest in making my own ties. I grabbed some fabric, I called my grandmother, who was a seamstress, and asked her if she could help me learn how to use a sewing machine. I made some of my own ties, and I got a lot of interest built up from that. The training that I received, most of it is self-taught. And when I say self-taught, a lot of books, YouTube videos, Pinterest, wherever I can find information from. And then a lot of trial and error. You have to get your feet wet. You have to jump in head first. Most fashion schools are teaching fashion business. They're not teaching you how to sew. People love the colorful ties. You still can't find ties like this in store because they're handmade. The quality is excellent. And they don't fall apart. They will last. You don't find quality ties in stores. They're made by machines, not by hand. I've had the opportunity to make some wedding gowns, some bridesmaids gowns, mother of the groom gowns. Pretty much anything you can think of, I've had a chance to make it. I come up with ideas for my designs mainly off of the fabric. So when I go fabric shopping, depending on the textures or the colors, the print, that moves me to think about what kind of garment I want to see this particular fabric made into. I love African prints because not many other style of prints have so many colors built in one, and so many different abstract designs. I love abstract art. So I incorporate that in everything I make. I was recently featured in 2 sewing magazines. One was Sew News, and the latest article of Sewn magazine I was featured in. I was able to talk about what I do, talk about men who sew, about why I think more men should get into sewing. Right now, I'm in a transition period where I'm going to be moving into making men's bespoke suits. A bespoke suit means you're getting a custom-made suit, but custom by the same person who measures you. So if you come to me and I measure you, I order the cloth, I strike the cloth, I cut the cloth, and I sew the fabric together. I do your fittings. That's a bespoke suit. I do think that every person should get at least one item custom made. Doesn't really matter what it is, a pair of pants, it can be a suit, it can be just a jacket, it can be a dress. Once you have a garment that was handcrafted for your specific body measurements, it's not like anything else. And if you work with a designer, not just a tailor or not just a seamstress, but if you work with a designer, you have an item that's not only unique to your shape, but unique to your style. I made this shirt, the shirt I'm wearing now. I love the fabric, I love the way it feels. It's an African fabric, but it's not your typical wax cotton. It's a very soft material. And I love that I got it straight direct from the people who are putting in the labor to make the fabric. It's not a knockoff, it's a genuine Ghanaian fabric. Also something that most people probably wouldn't notice is that the buttons are a little closer together than a standard men's shirt, because guys like myself, I have a little bit of chest area. So what happens is when you have a chest, your shirt will buckle here. Women who have busts, they know the same problem. Your shirt will buckle here. I hate that. But when you get something custom made, you can avoid problems like that. So I realized that spacing the buttons closer together keeps the shirt from splitting apart. I did a small zigzag stitch where the pocket is, something that is a small detail, but people who get custom made clothes, they like details like that. The art of sewing is dying. It's not dead. There are a few, I still consider myself young, but there are a few young ones that are still learning the trade. They are learning the skill. But the problem is that it's the turnaround time and the cost that goes into sewing. Many people would prefer to just pay a company to do it because they can get their fashion back quickly, they can get more garments made, they don't have to have high price points, but it doesn't get the same care and attention. I think it goes downhill when fashion is reliant on machines or factory-made items. But I think independent designers like myself, or independent seamstresses and tailors, when people still give attention to handcrafted garments, I think fashion will be heading in a really good direction. It will still be as unique and as colorful and as special as it is right now.
Peculiarity Productions is a flow artist performance group. We use fire and flow arts in storytelling, and we use storytelling as a way to frame our art form, which is fire and flow arts. We perform all over the DMV. Flow arts, or object manipulation, depending on how you want to look at it, is dancing with a prop, or doing a flow movement of a prop, in whatever way that can be. Sometimes it's light up, sometimes it's on fire, sometimes it's not. And you're manipulating it around your body in different ways that are attractive, that go along with the music, that tell a story, that explains an emotion. But it's a form of expression and dance, and sometimes it's fire, sometimes it's just LEDs, but you always have a prop in your hands.
There's many different props. There's poi, which are balls on strings. There's a staff. There are fans, there are hula hoops. There's so many different varieties of props.
This is such a new art form that isn't widely seen, and in an era of entertainment that's just overflowing with all kinds of weird graphics and things. Like, I think that's what the audience likes about it most, is that they're kind of shocked, like what's going on, you know? Because it can, depending on the performance, it can be amazing and just very emotional, or it can just be mind-blowing and awesome. And it's not something that always translates well to video. It's something that's best seen live. Because you can feel the heat of the fire and hear the whoosh and see the expression on the artist's face.
Tonight is Krampusnacht. And it's based off of the folklore of Krampus and the monster that kind of eats bad children, you know, before Christmas. But they've actually put a wonderful play on it, and it's such an incredible event. All the proceeds go to National Center of Children and Families. And so the end goal is to get Christmas gifts for children in the DC foster care system.
We've done other shows where it's been more like storytelling, where we'll have different spinners and actors be fighters in a video game, or to bring the audience into a video game. And we also like to do shows that are tell stories in a theater setting. And we bring in elements of audience participation and inclusion into the immersion into the storyline. And like every flow artist you meet, all they want to do is tell you about their art. They want to tell you about what it is. They're like, here, these are my props. Get online, find these videos that'll show you how to do it. It's a very open and inclusive group of people. It's much more about concert than competition. It's a little dangerous. You definitely need to take, especially with fire, you need to take the safety aspect of it very real.
So wearing natural fibers with your clothing, not wearing hairspray in your hair, you know, different things like that.
You need to make sure someone's with you, that you've learned how to do it from a professional, and that you've had actual classes on how to do this right.
So the venue is a huge part of flow arts. So where we do it, whether we're just practicing, ideally, if you're practicing, you have mirrors to kind of see what you're doing, to work different tricks, to see your movement. A lot of it incorporates dance, so it's good to be able to see yourself. Also clearance. High ceilings are kind of a must. Most of our props are pretty big, especially with performing. with fire, you do need a big outdoor space is ideal.
Like anything, practice makes perfect. So the more time and attention you put into your art, the better it's going to be and the safer it's going to be. I've tried to take classes, they're not overly prolific. Like there are flow arts fests where you can go for a weekend and learn from the best people in the business. There are online classes that you can find, videos that you can learn from. The best thing you can do is just pick up a prop and start spinning with it. I've made some really strong friendships in this community. And I also just love the freedom I get when I'm spinning, when I'm dancing. If it's in a packed concert hall or in my backyard, just cutting loose and expressing myself. It's a meditation in movement.
Looks like they've had a lot of fun, and we're having a lot of fun here at Enchant DC. Thank you. I've got my card now, so I'm going to go off and explore. Until next time, I want everybody to have a wonderful holiday. I'm Anquinette Crosby, and always remember to follow your art.
This program was produced by WHUT, Howard University Television, and made possible by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.